Hey YouTube community, thank you so much for being here and welcome to my channel. My name is MaryAnngeline. Today's practice is all about standing postures. This is an amazing practice for anyone that's brand new to yoga, or maybe you just started practicing and you want a little more breakdown. It's also an amazing practice if you don't want to be on your hands at all today. So we will be standing the whole time, no weight bearing. If you have any injuries in your wrist or if you just simply don't want to be on your hands, this is great for you. This is also nice because later on, I'll be offering some flow classes for beginners, and these are postures that you'll see within those flow classes. So please like and subscribe, and let's meet on our mat standing in mountain pose at the top edge of our mat. See you there. All right, my friends, so mountain pose is a foundational posture that you'll move in and out of often. It is actually an extremely challenging posture if done correctly. So I'm gonna turn to face the camera just so you can see me a bit better, more of a front view. And with our mountain pose, our feet are down, right? In line with our hip bones. So I want you to put your hands on your hips and I want you to find those hip bones. I want you to look down and kind of draw a line down those feet to the feet, okay? So this is potentially could be a version of hip distance. A lot of times when teachers cue hip distance though, we get the feet a little too wide because we think outer hips. And we actually want to think more hip bone. So I want us to stand feet separate right now. We can do feet together. It's another variation, but I do want us in a nice solid grounded position. So once you find the feet below the hips, remember those hip bones, spread out your toes and lift them up, and then slowly lower your pinky toe all the way to your big toe down. Now your feet are spread. Now you're creating some space and finding that solid foundation. From this point, lift up through your inner calf, so down here up into your inner thigh. Turn on your quad muscles. Pull your belly in. Pull your pelvic floor up. Hug the glutes. Draw the belly in. So the reason why I like to use the term hug rather than squeeze is because it's still kind of a pliable movement. So we're engaged, but we're not so engaged that we're gonna almost topple over like a statue, right? We're engaged, but we can find fluidity in our movement. So everything's now turned on from your hip bones down. Your legs are completely turned on. Your abdominals are turned on. Now we're gonna move up to the mid abdominals, upper, little softness to the ribs, little buttoning close of the ribs so that we can find a breath in the heart, a nice lightness in the heart. Arms down by your sides, palms turned forward. Spread the fingers and point them down. That will naturally roll the shoulders back. And then press the back of your head as if you were pressing the wall behind you to get your ears parallel to the mat, your head stacked. This is your mountain pose. This is in a very engaged position. We'll be here for just a bit longer. I want you to really feel this. This is our Tadasana, mountain pose. This will help with finding that evenness through the feet and that we're not compensating in one side. So be very mindful about how much weight you're putting into both feet. Now bring your hands to heart center. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, release the posture, shake out the legs. So welcome to mountain pose, Tadasana, my friends. I'm going to turn forward now so that we can get a nice profile view of this next transition. From our mountain pose, you're going to step the right foot straight back behind you and then turn the toes out to the diagonal, okay? Moving into Warrior One, Virabhadrasana 1, our toes are on the diagonal, our hips are moving forward. This may mean that you have to open your feet a little bit wider right to left so that your hip can more easily come forward. What we don't want is our feet too close and our toes too far out, and then we're yanking our hip forward and now we're twisting at the knee. We absolutely don't want that. So you want to make it comfortable for yourself. We all have different flexibility in our pelvis. We all have different lengths in our legs, so make it comfortable. Accommodate for those maybe tightnesses in the hip or in the foot, the ankle, whatever it is, okay? So for me, for example, my feet are pretty wide actually, and my toes are pointing to the right diagonal. I'm adjusting my hips forward, bending through my front knee. So if I look down, my left toes are forward and my knee is over my ankle. bring the hands to the hip bones, pull those hips forward, zip the belly in. I'm gonna show you something here. If I relax my belly, naturally my tailbone will tilt up. So I'm just not doing anything right now. So I want you to, like a zipper on your jeans, zip that belly in. It will drop the tail down, so you're not forcing it down. You'll then immediately feel a stretch in that right hip flexor, right here in the front of the hip, which is great. You can stay here. You can bring your hands to your heart or reach your arms up to the sky for more active and integrating the arms. Because if you keep those arms up long enough, you will definitely feel it in the arm muscles. We're driving our heel down into the mat, pressing all the weight into all four corners of the left foot, and then hugging everything into midline. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Again, deep breath in and out. One more in and out. Wherever you are, we'll return our hands to heart center. Take a giant step forward, right foot to the top of the mat. You might have to shake out those legs. You should have felt a nice stretch into the calf, into the hip flexor. And we'll take our second side. So step your left foot back. Now remember, this class is all about breaking it down. So we're taking our time, getting into the posture, adjusting your stance. This is your opportunity to really play with the posture, to say, hey, this width feels not very good, so let me try a little wider, let me try a little shorter. And the beauty of these videos is you can always pause them, make your adjustments, and then jump back in. So once you've found the angle of your left toes, the hips forward, pelvis as forward as you can, right? We're not forcing it, but we are adjusting our feet so that we can get the hips more forward, which means for me, my toes are pointed more on the front diagonal rather than the back diagonal. We'll get to that kind of idea in a moment here. Front knee is bent. I'm driving all my force into my back heel. My leg is straight. I'm pulling my belly in, and I decide if I want my hands on my hips, at my heart center, or up towards the sky. Wherever you go, make sure you're pulling everything inward. And if you notice when your arms go up, your ribs go open, bring your arms a little bit more in front of you so you can work the ribs together. Still lightness in our heart, just like we did in mountain pose. Find a little more depth through that front knee. Lengthen up. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. One more in. And an out. Bring the hands to heart center. Giant step forward, left foot up to the top of the mat. Ooh, shake it out. Okay, this next standing pose, we're gonna turn to face the right side of our mat, or any side that you can see the camera if you need, you can see your screen if you need that visual image. Open your feet now very, very wide. So if you were to bring your arms out, I'd like your ankles almost to your wrists. Now, of course, depending on the length of your arms, if your arm's a little shorter, go a little wider. If your arms are wider, maybe go a little shorter. But you get the gist. We are trying to get a nice wide stance. Now we're turning the left toes. I'm turning my left toes forward. It doesn't really matter which leg you start with. We are going to do both. But if you want to follow along exactly, then turn your left toes forward. And now place your hands on your hip bones. My left toes are pointing forward. My right toes are pointing side. Okay, hands on hip. If you notice your back hip, your right hip is hiked up, I want you to draw it down so your hips are in the same line parallel to the mat below you. From this point, take your hand on your left inner thigh, spiral it up so that inseam is spiraling up. You should feel your rotators turn on in your hips. Keep it turned on, keep the leg rotating up and start to bend your knee. As you do this, just like earlier in Warrior 1, pull your belly in. My friends, this is Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. Once you're in this position, you're driving all your weight into the four corners of your back foot, the whole foot, right? I'm pressing down through the inner arch and through the outer foot. I'm not letting this knee fall inward. I'm letting it press back. You'll feel a nice stretch through that leg if you're really working that rotation. Hands on hips, hands at heart, or of course, arms out to a T, palms down, arms turned up and turned on, gaze over the front hand. And then press your right shoulder back so that your shoulders are on the same line, but your gaze is forward. Warrior 2, deep breath in. Deep breath out. Breath in. Breath out. One more in. One more out. Release your hands. Straighten your left leg. Pivot your toes forward. The beauty about being in this position, rather than turning our bodies around, we're going to just pivot our right toes to the other edge of the mat and go to our second side. Okay. Same setup. Hands on the hips. Make sure they're even. If it's hiked up, bring it in. Start to bend your right knee, that inner thigh spiraling up. As you bend it, keep spiraling and spiraling up, 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 and then drop the right butt cheek down. So if you naturally work on that rotation, it's going to happen. Just like when you pull the belly in, you come to neutral with the pelvis, same thing here. Drive your weight into all four corners of that back foot. Now it's our left foot. Keep the quad active. Pull the belly in. Bend the front knee even more and watch that it's not falling inward. It naturally will do that for a lot of us. Keep it pressed back. Hands on your hips, hands at your heart, or arms up. If your arms are up, keep the arms slightly lifted and engaged. Press the left shoulder back. Keep the chest exactly where it is. Take your gaze over your right hand. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. One more in. One more out. And release the hands, straighten the leg, pivot the toes. Let's walk our feet together and just shake out those legs before we move on. What's beautiful about a yoga practice is it's always ever changing. We're always evolving. So even now, when I just did this Warrior 2, I noticed a little bit of a difference on my right side with that left shoulder. I was able to press it back more than I normally am. So we are always changing. Every time you get into your posture, it's going to be different, and I hope that you always explore it even more. Try not to get just stuck on this is how it is, this is the way. No, let yourself relax into it and get deeper. And as you're first starting, it might feel a little overwhelming because there's so many things to think about, but it will get easier. And once one thing clicks, then you can focus on another thing, and it'll just keep moving along like that. Okay, let's stretch out the legs now. So coming into that wide stance one more time. The one thing I didn't notate, just because those postures didn't really need it, are blocks. This is a place where blocks will come in handy. So luckily I have my blocks here. I will show you. If you didn't grab them and they're not handy, don't worry. If you want to pause the video, pause it and grab some blocks. If you don't have blocks, grab a pillow or two, grab books, anything that you can bring your hands to. You may or may not need them. You may or may not need them, but want them, right? So there's always different reasons why you want blocks. I will demonstrate though, in case you're at home really needing them, then I want you to have this visual. So my feet are extremely wide. Toes are pointing forward. I'm gonna bring my hands to my hips. I'm looking down first. Where is my weight? Is my weight even on both feet? So is my weight even between all four corners of both feet? And then am I dropping my weight into my heels, into my toes, or is it centered? If you have a little bit of a hyperextension like I do, I want you to add a soft bend into your legs and then engage your quadriceps. You'll feel the backs of the knees turn on. From this point, hand to the hips. We're folding at the hip crease. So right here, right? Hand to the hips. Let the pelvis go back without shifting your weight. Keep the weight forward. Bring your hands either to your blocks or to the ground, and then bend your elbows and let your head drop. Now, as you're holding here, I'm going to turn myself around. I want to show you this from a side view now. So you can stay where you are. You can come back up with me and do it one more time. But I want to show you one thing. When you come forward into your fold, I don't want you to send your butt back and drop your weight into your heels. I want you to keep your weight even, maybe even more forward to the toes. And as you hinge at the hip crease, you keep the weight exactly there. Bring your hands to the block and then fold. You'll get a more intense and deep stretch. Otherwise, I'm just sitting back. And I don't want to just drop into tendons and to flexibility. I really want to work the stretch more dynamically. So shift your weight forward. And then breathe here. So we're here for 3 breaths. Take a deep breath in and out. Breath in and out. One more in and out. Let's bring our hands to our hip bones, flat back, rise on up. Keep the weight even, don't shift it back too much. And then step your feet together. That was a very intense back of the leg stretch through the calves, through the hamstrings. So if you need to, you can shake out the legs. So a little review. We went into our Tadasana, our mountain pose. We did a front-facing stance, which was warrior one. Feet are a little wide depending on your hips. Front legs toes are forward, back legs toes are slightly on the diagonal. Then you have your warrior two, where your front toes are forward, your back toes are on the complete angle. Your hip bones are pointing one way, but your gaze is pointing the other, right? So warrior two. And then we had our wide-legged forward fold pose. Feet very wide, coming down to the mat, hands either to the ground or using your blocks if you need them. So these are 4 postures that you're gonna see often. If you're new to this, practice them every day. Hold for about 5 to 10 breaths. Today we only did 3 just for the sake of the timing of the class. And then if you feel ready, look at the other videos that I have doing some standing balances, some floor poses, being on your hands, and then maybe working into a beginner flow class. If you have any questions, please put them in comments below. Subscribe to my channel. I have a virtual studio that offers so much content, so many classes from beginners to advanced, from 5 minutes to 60 minutes. So if you're interested in that, there's information below this video. So before we end practice together, let's bring our palms together, rub the hands, create some heat within the hands. And then place your left hand on your heart, right hand on top of your left. Bow your chin, close your eyes. Breathe in love, gratitude, and compassion for your body. And breathe out love, gratitude, and compassion for your practice. Silently thank yourself for being on your mat today, for trying something maybe new, or for coming back to something that you already know, but with a beginner's mindset. From my screen to yours, until next time, namaste. Thank you, my friends. See you next time.